Today we're going to harvest some potatoes, and it's going to go from harvest to the kitchen, and I'm going to cook up some potatoes in a matter of minutes, and you're going to see how I cook in the kitchen every day. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and I'm going to harvest my potatoes out of these buckets. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do them all. I put, I think, one in there, and here I can get to the purple bucket. I'm going to put these 3 in here because I don't have room right now. So we'll just put one here. I'm going to change it up. I've got 3 potatoes in there. I'm going to take one out. I'm going to use this one that's got a big open bottom. I'm going to move this and put everything in there and this will be another potato. So I can just lift that and get the potatoes out because I think 3 is too much in there and that will work out really good. So let's get all this stuff in here and get that set up. I believe there's 2 in here. Now this one had potatoes, but because the tomatoes are doing so well, I don't even think I'm going to bother looking for them. I'm going to have to look and see if there were any potatoes in here, but there are some in there. So whatever I get is good. Sometimes you have to step back and think, is it worth forfeiting what came up or what's growing? I really like the brassicas. That one is purple. This one's not in there, so that's not a problem. So it's not worth it for me to try to see what's in there because I don't want to upset this plant. I really love this plant. It's some sort of hybrid and it is gorgeous. And then with the tomatoes, you know, if all goes well, I may be able to have tomatoes on this particular plant all winter because it's thriving. It came up on its own. It looks like there's multiple tomato plants in there, and those are the best. When they come up like that and they're so vigorous, you want to leave them. So let's see what's in some of them because something is better than nothing considering I'm dealing with what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to have to apologize because there's really no other way of doing this because of the sun. It's 80 degrees, and if I stick my camera out in the sun, it'll shut off and you won't see anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out one of these buckets. This is just to put back later when I go to plant. I'll set this there. This is to collect the potatoes if there's potatoes in there. These were planted back in August, at the end of August, and they could have been harvested probably 2 weeks ago. I wish I could tilt this a little bit more. I'm going to jump in here for a minute and say something. The potatoes that I planted there were sitting for the longest time, for months, in a box and never got planted. So they were really struggling before I even planted them. They should have been planted when they looked really nice, not all dried out. But you know what? You plant what you've got and you see what happens. Without breaking it. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Okay, you must have a handle. There's the handle. Let's grab it by the handle. All right, now I'm gonna tip this. This is what's left over of the potato plant. Oh boy. I'm gonna forfeit this. I guess this was a cutting of a tree collar that I'd put in there, and I've got plenty. I'm gonna tip this and see if there's, oh, there is. You know, I should bring you over here. I wonder if I can't go that over there. Let me see, I'll try to risk it by bringing you over, and then I'll do really as quick as I can because it is hot this sun. Yep, we're in the first week of December and it's over 80 degrees, but that's only for the next day or so, and then we're gonna start to cool down again. Our nights are still cool. Okay, hopefully we don't get too hot. If we do, you'll have to see the end result because I already see potatoes in there. I have not looked at all. Now let's see what we've got in here. Here's a little one. Remember, there was only, I think there were, I'll have to look. There was either 1 or 2 potatoes in here. So as I showed you earlier, there were 2 dried up growing potatoes that had been sitting for the longest time. It's just sometimes we don't eat the potatoes and we forget, and you find them and they're all dried out. Well, still plant those because you might get something out of them. But that's what ended up in the purple bucket. 2 potatoes that had started to grow, and they were purple potatoes. So I guess not too bad. Now this flower pot that I have a big hole on the bottom, it's actually a floral pot, had 1 dried up growing potato in it. Oh wow, okay, so this one's got a bunch. Let's see. I got there. This one also had, I believe, 1. Oh, I saw a teeny one. I missed it. There's that one. I saw one smaller than that. See the roots? See how they grow? They're growing on the bottom of the plant. Now let me tell you something. A lot of people say mound. You're not mounding because it's not going to grow potatoes there. It's going to continue to throw roots and grow tiny potatoes. The reason you mound, if you want to call it mounding for these, is you're covering, as they get bigger, they'll be growing this way and they can come out above the soil. And this way, if it goes this way and it comes out above the soil, it will turn green. You don't want to eat a green potato. But see, this went back, it started to grow, but then the plant died back. So we'll go ahead and plant those anyways, because they will grow. Let me grab that. There's another teeny one. A lot of teeny ones, and I can plant the teeny ones. Probably should just leave the teeny ones. In other words, when they die back, if it's not too wet, let them just start growing again. But I don't see any more in here. This was like one potato. One small potato was put in here. You can see the footage. But lots of earthworms. I don't see anything like nothing was eaten. The critters didn't get to it. It just didn't develop a whole lot. And it could be the type of potato. I love the earthworms. All right, I need to get some more greens. I'll just take it off of another plant right now. I'm going to put the soil back and the earthworms and everything back. And I'll decide what I'm going to put in there later. This is living soil. Now, you want to buy plant food or something, yeah, you might get a little bit more. I don't want to eat plant food. No, I just let it do its thing. Some will make it really big, and some won't. That's okay. Okay, now this one had a potato on the top, so I already grabbed that. Oh, this one looks like it did pretty good, but I want to get some of this in there. And while I'm putting the soil back, I don't have to do too much work. I'm going to put leaves back in here right now, right away. Now, it could be the type of potatoes. These look like they're little red. So I guess they were all red ones I planted this time. So what are you doing? You're doubling. You can do better than that. There's more. Now these were potatoes that started to grow in the house. I'm probably missing some now. There's more. There's more. Oh, this one's got a ton of them. A ton of little ones. Look at them. Some of them are so tiny on this one. Which means it really needed more growing time than this. See how tiny it is? I mean, they'll grow, but then you're going to end up with small potatoes. The bigger the potato, usually the more you'll get. Like if you've got really big ones, there's another. Look how tiny they are. I better throw them in here before I lose them. And this one's got a lot of good ones. You know, when you think about it, it looks like there's nothing, but I think I only planted in these buckets 3 potatoes that I would have thrown out because they were growing in the house. So a little tiny bag of organic potatoes can cost quite a bit, $3.50 to $5. It's unreal. But now you're going to see what I'm actually going to do with them. And this is all done within, 30 minutes. Now I'm going into my garden. I'm looking for walking onions. I've got some that are bent and not beautiful and straight. I'm going to use those. They're beautiful. They're just bent over. They got so big or the wind blew them over. This is where I use walking onions. And walking onions are one of my favorite onions. You know that. I've got many videos on them. Look them up if you've got questions, and maybe you should add that to your garden if you don't have it. So that's going to go great with the potatoes that we harvested. And then for fun, I'm going to grab a tree colored leaf, one of the new baby leaves. It'll be nice and tender. That will be a good addition. And then here is celery growing in an old tote. Look at this. And it came up on its own. Isn't that beautiful? One stalk will be enough because I'm going to use the leaves as well. And just for color, that beautiful purple kale I grow, just one leaf. Normally I don't add kale to what I'm making, but you know what? It'll be good. It's healthy anyways. Isn't that gorgeous? Now let's go in the kitchen. Now I'm fresh out of the garden. So let me wash the potatoes. You saw them. Nope, too high. I just scrub them pretty good by hand. I don't do anything fancy. They're not bruised, they're beautiful. So I'm just going to use them that way. And you know what? I'm not planting any of them back. None of them. I have another cup sitting ready to grow. And notice I said go, it's almost grow. They're growing already, again, past their prime, so I'm not going to get that many. So you really want to plant nice, big, beautiful, healthy potatoes. But how many of us go to the store, buy potatoes, and then forget about it? You know, or all of a sudden you go in there and they're growing. Because a lot of the potatoes I have found are not irradiated. So they'll grow, and I've had wonderful luck with them. Now, keep in mind, there's a couple things that you may be thinking, oh, it wasn't that many, and the ones in the stores are so big. Actually, the ones in the stores are about that big because these are small type potatoes. Now, the farms are fertilizing their properties big time, so keep that in mind. I'm going to say that you'll almost never, and I'm using the word almost because there's always, exceptions to the rule. You'll almost never get what the farmers are getting unless you're going to start really using a lot of fertilizer. I use zero fertilizer, and unfortunately, gosh, some of these are so tiny. Unfortunately, I forgot to use, well, I didn't forget, I just haven't had time, compost tea. That would have made them bigger. Just taking some leaves and rotting it and watering the potatoes off and on. Now we're going into cooler weather, even though it's 82 degrees today. And our weather's going to change, and if you wet and water potatoes too much in cool weather, they'll rot. And then you'll have happy earthworms and microbes as they're eating it away. So there's certain times you don't want to grow them or keep them dry, kind of like ginger and turmeric. If they get too wet, they could rot. But we're good right now. Let me just make sure they're nice and clean. And I'm going to cook them all, not saving a single one of these. I've got many more that are growing, sitting in cups, sitting in boxes, and I'll just plant those back. And if I lose them, okay, there's a couple more in here that are so tiny, they look like they're smaller than peas. But you know what? It doesn't matter, they're food. None of them are green. All of them are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to chop them up, and I'm going to boil them up. And let's see, where's the knife? I'm boiling my water. They won't take long to boil. I'm not peeling them. Oh, no, no, no. You don't want to peel them. So we're not going to peel them. We're just going to cut them up. Of course, the small ones I won't have to cut up. And you can do it whole if you want. But I'm going to make a potato salad out of them. So they're going to just be boiled quickly. They'll soften really quick because these are straight out of the ground. Now, all these little tiny ones, I'm not going to do anything. Just make sure there's no rocks. And I only have potatoes because they are so tiny. I don't even think I've seen them that tiny. But that's fine. This is going to make a nice bowl of potato salad. And look, everything from the garden. I'll show you the other stuff in a minute. You ask me a lot of times, oh, what do you cook? Here's the problem. I really never know what I'm going to cook. From day to day, I have no idea. And Gary knows that. We don't have any meal plans. I go and open the fridge. If I got something left over, he does the same thing. We just make a meal out of it. So I never know what I'm going to cook. But also, the other thing I was going to tell you about potatoes, I don't want you on anything you grow feel like you're failing if something doesn't grow right. I want to make sure no roots are left on them. Not for any particular reason. I'm just looking. I think I got all the roots off. A lot of the stuff you see on the internet isn't real. But what are you going to do? You think, wow, I can't grow like that person. That person planted a potato and came out with 15, 20, 25 potatoes out of one. Really, if you think it looks close to impossible, let's just say it is. And I know that for a fact. So anything you get is better. Now I planted out of these, there were 3 or 4 potatoes total. They were shriveled up. They were in poor condition because they had been sitting for months, all dried up, trying to grow. And then I threw them in the soil. They grew, and they grew a bunch of little ones because they were in such bad shape. Not bad to eat. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to make sure I get them all because this will make a nice potato salad. But that's the thing you have to understand, and it breaks my heart when I hear somebody come to me and say, I can't do it like somebody else did. Especially when I know that somebody else did a magic trick. Let's put it that way. You see a lot of people talk like that. Oh, look how beautiful they grew. Magic. And you know about magic. I'm going to put it in here. It's just about ready to boil. So while that's boiling, this is what I'm going to do here. So keep that in mind. A lot of it is not real. Whatever you get, I don't care if you put 1 potato in there that's starting to grow in your kitchen, in a box, you forgot about it, in a bag, and you get 1 potato. You got 1 potato you can eat. The one you stuck in the ground you couldn't eat. It was all dried up. So I picked a couple, just one little, I don't usually put a lot of greens in my potato salad, but for color, I'm going to put 1 purple one, and I'm going to put a tricolor in here. A nice green one, chopped up. Just kind of for color, something added. I didn't make a green drink today. And then these are walking onions. And somebody asked me, do you pick them when they're bent? If they're bent and they're still growing, I just leave them. And then when I need them, like today, I pick them. And I don't eat the yellow part. Not that it's bad. But why should I eat anything that's not that pretty when I got tons of it? Literally. Tons of walking onions. These are my favorite onions. You use walking onions as you would green bunching onions. It's just, you can use them for whatever you want. They taste so good. They're so rich in flavor. So easy to grow. And if you're in an area where you got snow, they'll just sit under the snow. And then when the snow is gone, they pop back up and then grow. And you know how they have babies? That's why they're called walking onions. There's no seeds to them. They're just great. So I can go out there and I can throw them in potato salad. I can put them in fried potatoes. I can put them in a sandwich. I don't put them in my green drink. I don't want to drink onions. That's just greens that I collect around the yard. We'll have to do that one day again. I have an old video that I put up years ago. Just kind of clean off and take the best of the onions. And that's it. Now I'm just going to chop these up and have them ready. And then I've got a big celery. Now don't forget, your greens on the celery, the leaves, are the richest part of celery. But really, seriously, this is no joke. I mean, I would take you and you should watch me make cookies. It's like, okay, I've got this. Maybe I'll add this. Oh, I've got coconut. Oh, I think I'm going to soak my coconut today in this or that. Or I never know. He never knows what he's going to eat. Sometimes I cook in the middle of the night if I can't sleep. I should say bake. I don't generally cook. And Gary will get up and find something ready because he gets up so early. If I'm up late, I'm not usually getting up that early. And he'll find something in the morning and he can grab a coffee and whatever I baked and off to the garden he goes. He never knows what he's going to find. But it's very hard for me to put a cooking show or something together because I don't have recipes. Food is food. And you know what? If you combine foods that you like, then you've got it made. And that's what I do. I combine flavors I like. There's things I like that Gary doesn't like, and there's things Gary likes that I don't like. So you can't go wrong with food. You can't go wrong with flavors. I'm going to use mainly the leaves of the celery. I don't know if I'm going to put that much. Celery is so overpowering. To me, it's really strong. So I think I'll chop up some of them, and then I'll decide this one. You know, it looks like it was a hybrid. I can see the red in it. Sometimes they're really hot, and sometimes they're not so hot. So I'm going to chop up some greens from the celery. Years ago, I used to buy a celery from the store, take all the green leaves off and throw them away. And then it's like, wait a minute, you find out later that all the vitamins and nutrition's in the green leaves, which I definitely put in my green drink. Okay, chop it up as thin, as small, and as tiny as you want. If you like bulk, don't chop it up that much. You know, if you chop it up the way, you have to start cooking, if you don't like cooking, in the fashion in which you like to eat. And then I think you'll really, really enjoy cooking more. And that's the whole idea, is cooking what you like. I could put other stuff in there, but I think we're good for this. Okay, my potatoes are boiling, so we'll see. I should add, where's the salt? A little bit of salt to the water. And then I'll rinse them. Let's see if this is hot or not. Homegrown celery. Yum, 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 yum. This is growing in a tote, and that green tote is probably about 6 years old, and it came up on its own, the celery. All my celery comes up on its own now. So let me see, I don't think it'll be ready yet. Almost ready. So do I want to put any more celery in? Easiest thing to make, potato salad. And you don't like kale? Of course don't put kale in. You don't like celery? Don't put celery in. If I had a hard-boiled egg right now, I'd throw that in there. My grandmother used to make her potato salad all the time with hard-boiled eggs, and hers was always fancy. She would take the yolk, she'd hard-boil these eggs and put them in the potato salad, and then she'd take some yolks and she'd grate them on the top. So the whole top of the potato salad, I remember, was yellow, and then she'd dust it in paprika. It was pretty good. So, okay, so we got all this. I don't think we need this. I'm not gonna put the potatoes in this one, because this one is from the garden, and I'll leave this right now. So anyway, you know, I might just wash this later. I'll leave that there right now. This. As soon as the potatoes are done, we'll drain them. I just want to make sure they're ready. This is like the fastest thing you can make. Should bring you over if you want to see them, and then put you back. And that's it. There's nothing to it. Just boiling them away. All right, let's get you set back. I think it's done. It literally took however long you watched. I'm going to put it in here. Now, Gary likes bagel everything. Is that what this thing is called? Yeah, bagel everything seasoning. This is one of his favorite. And this one's not open, is it? Of course not. You can put whatever you like. That's the most important thing out of cooking anything. I mean, why would you make coconut cookies if you don't like coconut? Why would you make walnut cookies if you're allergic to it? You know, you want to make what you like. That's the most important thing. And so that's basically it. All right, now let's just put that there right now. Let's get the potatoes drained. I like running cold water in my sink while I'm draining potatoes, while I'm draining anything hot down this thing. Just have cold water running. That's the way the pipes don't get you. I don't know. I learned that as a kid. Always run cold water. Oh, these are beautiful. Just gonna make enough for dinner tonight for Gary and I. Let me pour this back in here so we can get them cold enough. Normally I would take the potatoes off and off the stove, and then what I would do is I would drain them really good and let them cool. But I'm going to make the whole thing here and make a big mess for you. Right now we're going to just get this together. But that's what I would normally do. I would now go back to the garden. I would let it sit and drain so it gets nice and dry. I don't have a clear bowl so you could see. No, you'll have to take my word for it how it looks. Okay, so we're going to dump the potatoes in there. And now I'm going to dump in, well, I can dump in, put some mayonnaise in first. I'm going to put the mayonnaise. Now again, I don't measure, so what would that be? Maybe almost a quarter of a cup. You use what you like. You like mayonnaise? I like a lot of mayonnaise. Okay, that's good. We don't want to overdo the mayonnaise. I could overdo the mayonnaise. Put the cap back on, get that in the fridge in a few minutes. But if you are like, let's say, trying not to have so much fat in your diet, or you can't have a lot of something, just put a little. Even a little goes a long way. Okay, so now we can dump in the vegetables. Look at this. Oh my gosh. So, I can smell it. It smells so good. This is it. From the garden to the table, even though I haven't made dinner yet. I think I'll make chicken tonight. But it's really good to put this in the fridge and let it cool down. You like a lot of black pepper? Put in a lot of black pepper. I'm a black pepper nut. Normally I use my grinder. I have a grinding mill, but I'm just showing you black pepper. If you can add salt, put a little bit of salt in. You don't need to put a lot because the mayonnaise already has salt. So if you're trying to ease up in your salt, and then if there's something you really like Gary loves, this is called everything bagel, just put that in there. And then this will all incorporate as it sits in the fridge. But you saw what went in there. My potatoes that I got today. So like I said, I've got enough for one meal. It's not a total loss. It's not, look, it's not a big harvest. There are times I've gone in there and I've pulled out a ton of potatoes, and then there's times you go back and sometimes you don't find anything. And it just grew a big, beautiful plant and maybe a couple tiny things that you can barely see. But today we got enough to make a meal, you know, a side dish. And let's put it this way, I am grateful for whatever I can find. But that's it, and everything's from the garden. There's nothing here from the store except for my pepper, my seasonings, and my mayo. And you can make your own mayo. I haven't done that yet. I know Gary tells me his sister does it all the time. All you need is some eggs and vinegar, and that is something I should do. But now I will put this in the fridge. I can put it in a small bowl. I can leave it like this and eat it later on. Oh my gosh. Mmm. Mmm. This is so good. I'm gonna eat the whole bowl. I could eat the whole bowl and Gary wouldn't even know because he doesn't know I made it. But I'm gonna put it in the fridge, have it for dinner later. I wanted to share that with you. You asked me, what do I do with the food from the garden? It comes in as I need it. You saw I picked the celery now because I needed it now. Now I probably have green on my teeth. I needed walking onions. If I remembered where my parsley was, I could have put some parsley in there. Everything is in there. All from the garden, a little bit of kale, pretty color, and I'm putting it in the fridge. So with that, have a wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget to eat what you grow. And hey, please like and subscribe. I ever hit 1 million, I'll just let the camera run and then you can watch me embarrass myself. We'll see. I don't think I'll ever get there. Anyways, have a wonderful day and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Well, this is so good. I'm putting it in the fridge now before I do eat it. Just finished my video. You walked in just in time. I was going to render it. You want to taste it?
Yeah.
It's for dinner. Everything from the garden. My little bit of potatoes.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is good. It is really good. Fresh potatoes are always absolutely wonderful, and they boil up in literally minutes.
Yep.
Okay, good. Maybe I'll tack this on to the end, so wave goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.